I'd say go to YouTube. YouTube is your friend. Kit yourself out. All you need is a needle and a thread and some scissors. You don't need much more than that. And then I think perhaps the first thing I'd suggest is you go to the charity shops and find a really lovely coloured t-shirt that fits you really well. Bright colour, dark if you like dark. And start with something very plain and just embellish it. So you could sew on a new trimming, you could sew on a motif, you could just take the sleeves off. And so start small, start simple. I think the girls are going to come up with some incredible creations, and it's going to be amazing to see them parade up and down the catwalk. It's going to be great to see the fun they're having with it. I hope to see them all strutting down the catwalk, having to sashay away, and it'll be great. Well, what I love about upcycling is you can transform something really easily. So something that's a bit old and worn out and knackered or just doesn't fit you very right, just with a few stitches here and there, a bit of elastic, slash off the sleeves, you can turn it into something credible without too much work, and it's very good for the soul. Well, my book, The Swish, is about a girl called Kat. I call her my thrift shop Cinderella because she's having a hard time in life and she doesn't have a fairy godmother to fix things for her. So she has to make her own happy ending. So she's having a tough time. Her mum and dad are broke, struggling to pay the bills. She's being bullied at school. She gets her happiness from sewing away in her room, and she goes around the charity shops and buys things cheap and then does a bit here, does a bit there, and turns them into wonderful new outfits. And then things come to a crisis because her parents can't afford the bills. At the same time, the school ball is announced and all the other girls are buying these incredible fancy frocks. And Kat has to dare to try and make her own gown for the school ball. And there's a lot of jeopardy, you know, will the haters tear her to shreds? Will the cool boy who she fancies notice she exists? And all the rest of it comes to play. I think people worry that upcycling is something they can't do because it's too tricky, that they have to be a cool fashion student or they have to be a really dab hand at sewing. And the whole fun of upcycling is you're doing stuff, you're working with stuff that's already been made. So I can't sew that well. I can do running stitch, but I can't work a sewing machine, and I certainly couldn't make a dress from a pattern. But if you go into a charity shop, the dress is fundamentally made already. The top has been made, the trousers have been made, and all you're doing is sort of hacking off the bottom, changing the sleeves, adding something on, applying a new trimming, bringing it into fit. All these little touches that aren't that hard to do, and they can transform something from being quite boring or old or saggy into something wow. Well, I hope that attitudes are already starting to change. They published research last year that showed that the footfall in charity shops is going way up, and it's down to young people. So lots more young people are going around charity shops, and I've noticed that myself because I've been going to charity shops for years. In the past couple of years, way more young people are going around, and gangs of them as well, you know, like it's a cool thing to do. When you're doing your circuit at the town centre, you go to Poundland and McDonald's, and then you do the charity shops now. It's great. So I think attitudes are already changing, and I think ideally, I'd love to feel in 10 years' time it's got to so that you only go and get something new if you can't get it anywhere else. And the cool thing to do is to go to the charity shops and be thrifting. My favourite upcycling project is what we call our festival frock, because we did it loads. We went around to lots of festivals last year doing Swish workshops, and it was really popular. So what you do is you get an old baggy shirt, a grandad shirt, and you sort of cut the top off and you thread some elastic around it, so it's quite easy to do, and basically you create a sort of shoulderless frock. You just cinch it at the waist with the belt, and suddenly what I like about it is you start with something really baggy and grim and boring like a grandad shirt, and it doesn't take much to turn it into what's really quite a funky frock, and it's quite easy to do. The girls loved it. I think my passion from upcycling came from, well, for people of my generation, we didn't really call it upcycling. You just grew up being able to sort of mend the things and sew a bit here and sew a bit there. Your mum would teach you what to do and you'd pick it up as you went along, and you didn't have much money to spend on your clothes, and clothes cost a bit more. So if your hem fell down, you'd have to take it up, or if you got bored of a dress, you'd chuck the sleeves off or do something different to it. And we didn't even call it upcycling, we just called it, having fun with what we got in the wardrobe. And I think that's where it started. Yeah, I think my passion for upcycling grew all over again when I saw my daughters getting into it. I think sustainable fashion is really empowering for young girls and young people, because I think young people today can feel very anxious about the state of the world, and you can feel like there's not much you can do to improve things. And as a young person generally, as a teenager, you don't have much control over your life, where you go to school, what you have to do, and your daily activities are quite subscribed for you. But the one bit of your life you do have control over is what you wear, and the clothes you choose and the fashion you wear. And so I think it's a really nice way in for young girls, because they obviously care a lot about how they look and how they style themselves. And it's a way of showing how unique they are, but also showing that they care about the planet by the way they're trying to do it sustainably.